All right, my guy.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Uh,
sir.
number six, Soul Bridge. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's get right into it. Let's get right
Back
into it.
again.
Okay, so I want to provide a little context for this one. So you and I are in a mastermind group together,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much, we have 8 people in the group, and every other week, a different person is in the spotlight.
Yeah.
And on Thursday, I was in the spotlight, and you couldn't attend that one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so with the spotlight being a person can come to the group with anything on their mind. It could
Mm-hmm.
be a job circumstance, a relationship circumstance, anything. And I was struggling a little bit to kind of figure out how to fine tune, like, or find one specific area that
Yeah.
I wanted to go to the group with, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started doing some brainstorming. And I was just kind of thinking about, like, of its issues in my life or difficult things. Started doing some brainstorming and I started writing some things out. And then I
Mm-hmm.
started seeing this like interlocking web, kind of like a web of
Yeah.
things I need to work on, issues, shall we say. And we ended up having a really good conversation about it.
Okay.
But you were not there. And now I think it would be awesome to kind of like go through that again, maybe a little bit more clarity,
Yeah.
get your thoughts, opinions, what you resonate with, and all this. And so that's the plan. We talked about it.
Right.
So I'm gonna pull this little roadmap out and try to explain
Let's
myself
do
to
it.
my best ability. And
Yeah. Take us on a journey.
yeah, I'm gonna do my best. So I say it starts with the fact that I have difficulty feeling my emotions on a deep level because I have been told by a healer who can read the Akashic records that I developed a coping mechanism at the age of 5 that any
Mm-hmm.
negative emotion I would just pretty much repress. I'd take it in, I'd lock it in a box deep inside myself so I didn't have to feel that emotion.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
as I grew older, I started doing that with all emotions, positive emotions, negative emotions, just like locking them in and not really connecting to them
Yeah.
on a deeper level, right? And that's things that I've learned from my parents. That's what I learned from my environment. And then,
Mm-hmm.
so because of me not really being able to feel my emotions on a deeper level and this coping mechanism, I have had a difficult time of processing my trauma. And I've had some, traumatic events in my life, specifically one when I was 21, where we can get into where, I got beat up
Yeah.
by the police officers. And
Yeah.
it's been hard for me to really like feel that, process that, heal from that, and move on. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
still locked in there somewhere. And
Yeah.
despite me doing work, it's still in there. I know it is. And I believe that because of this trauma, I've developed, you call maybe a lack of presence or a lack of deeper awareness. There's something called trauma noise, where people who
Mm-hmm.
have trauma kind of always have this like this noise or this feeling, this pain that they can't even really maybe feel or
Yeah.
understand, but it's there and it sets them back. And so I have some difficulty being present a lot of the time, which impacts my focus, especially my ability
Mm-hmm.
to focus on a task over a long period of time and really just boom,
Mm.
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And also my thoroughness. I make a lot of like little small mistakes that maybe the average person like, oh, it's not a big deal. But as it adds up, it causes issues in all parts of my life, right?
Yeah.
And then because of this lack of thoroughness, and I have a disgust of our monetary system
Yeah.
and our
Yeah.
system in general, how it operates.
Mm.
So I never really was about like pursuing money in any real sense of a way, and I've never developed like the capability of being good at acquiring it,
Yeah.
which is
Mm.
needed in our society. And I
Very
think
much
so.
so.
So all of these things, affects my relationship with the people I'm close to, with just my presence and being there for people when they really need it, or just in a conversation, and more importantly, with myself. And so these are all you could maybe see as like not necessarily positive things. It's obviously
Right.
like, this isn't my whole life, not just like, I got problems, I got problems, I got problems. Like there's also a lot of good things, but this is what I came to, trying to like figure out how I can heal myself and just operate in the world from a better place. And but all these problems that I've talked about, issues, that say I
Mm-hmm.
have developed a lack of self-love, or what you could call really self-hate. And I
Mm-hmm.
think the deep parts of the self-hate come from the fact that, in 2013, 14, I started thinking about the world and from a different place, from doing my
Yeah.
own research and kind of being like, wait, what that doesn't really make sense. Let me see what this has to
Mm-hmm.
say. Just doing my own research, you get me. And so I've learned a lot of things, but it's been difficult for me to kind of take in the information, apply it in maybe a deeper sense where, I can just be like, wow, I'm healed from this. I can move
Mm-hmm.
past this. I'm a new
Yeah.
person. And I'm not saying that, I've come a long way. There's been a lot of growth in a lot of departments that, we could talk about sometime in the future. But I think what I've mentioned, um, not being able to just like heal myself, fix
Yeah.
myself, or, be able to boom, focus really hard, or boom, say the right thing, or boom, stop making these mistakes, or boom, like stop having trauma responses to things that aren't that deep.
Yeah.
And so, I brought this to the group and we had a good discussion. But first, I want to ask you, is like, do you resonate with this? How do you resonate with this? What came
Mm-hmm.
up for you when you heard me say these words?
Yeah, I think like when you start getting into it and we start looking at, and it's usually it may be an event, it may be like one event that like triggers it, like you said, your encounter with the cops. It could be like, you know, uh, um more of an environmental thing where we learn these things, right? Where we learn these coping mechanisms and whatnot. So listening to you go into it, it's like I definitely resonate in the sense that I have, and I resonate with having the trauma in your body, right? And that having that energy stored up in your body and not knowing what to do with it, and being able to see even as we get older, like, hey, like this is something I used to do to get through X, Y, Z, right? Whether it's, you know, being, rejected at a young age, by peer groups or friends, or like just not feeling like you fit in. We start like storing these, trauma responses inside of us. And then we come up with, and it, like you said, it starts in one area of your life and it just kind of snakes and okay, you might feel good one place and you got a little setback, boom, shut down. Okay, I'm not as open as I used to be because now I'm coping with, okay, maybe not trying to deal with rejection, so I don't even open up as much, right? So I don't, stuff like that. So I resonate with that on a personal level in terms of just seeing. For me, it's the way it comes up in my life is like frustrations with like um knowledge plateaus, or lack of know-how. If it's something that um I'm having trouble like breaking through to the next part, or I feel like I keep getting snagged in the same cycle of, oh, okay, cool, you close, like you doing well, and then it's like boom, something happens. I didn't see this coming. I don't know how this came about, but I feel like I'm in the same place. Shit, like boom, I'm back here again. I'm really not growing like I thought I would. So I think that's how it in my life it kind of comes up in cycles, and it's I think it's related to a lot of things. Like you talked about financial systems and like just the the overall environment that we're in and the games we have to play and the things, you know what I'm saying? So where we may feel like personally we may feel well in some areas when it comes to, chasing a goal or attaining something, and it's not laying out that journey, it's not laying out how we would expect it to. We start to like revert back to these responses where it's like, fuck it, like I wash my hands of it, right? I've been grinding so hard to, stash some money away, chase this career, blah blah blah. When you hit a setback and You're like, why does this even matter? They the money system about to fall. They jerking us in the workplace. They doing X, Y, Z, and I can see how it's like keeping us in the cycle of kind of getting there, kind of getting close, and then just kind of plateauing and like, So with that being said, I do resonate with one having like that internal trauma in the body, the frustration with trying to break through and thinking that you healed it and thinking that, okay, you're making some progress and then boom, a setback and whatnot. So I definitely feel that.
Okay, so you said a lot that spurred a lot in
Mm.
my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a question for you, and then I'll speak about my experience a little bit. Is first
Yeah.
is like, do you ever beat yourself up about it? Because with me, I'll be in a situation and say a good example is like my partner will just
Mm.
like, give me some advice or a critique.
Yeah.
And it's hard it's hard for me a lot of the times, and I've gotten a lot better at like
Mm-hmm.
hearing the advice and being like, okay, this isn't an attack, and not getting defensive.
Yeah.
It's like
Right. Right.
it's my instinct to be like, whoa, 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 but I'm doing it, but it's not that big of a deal, or
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
not just being like, whoa, like this is actually really helpful and useful advice that if
Mm-hmm.
I can get out of my own way and out of my own pain body and just hear it
Ooh.
and figure out how to apply it,
Yeah.
it's actually helpful. It's a helpful thing for me. What I
Yeah.
do is I'll get defensive and we'll go through the cycle, and then I'll beat myself up about it. Like, damn,
Mm-hmm.
bro. It's like, yo,
Yeah.
you've been working on this for so long and you still did it again. Like,
Yeah.
you not shit.
Yeah.
You ain't work. You really haven't had any progress, like you said. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think that's where the self-hate comes in of like, bro, like you suck at this. You suck
Yeah.
at healing yourself.
Right. Right. Right.
Like
Right.
you're not
No,
even worth it. And I just want to ask you, it's like, can you relate, like, or what is your
I,
version of that?
I can. My version of that is so, and I think this, I can kind of trace it back to like childhood too, but like me personally, like I hate disappointing other people, right? So if
Mm,
like something, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in like a relationship, whatever, if I'm up for a task and like my delivery, I don't execute right or I miss a step, and even like to your point, like it might not even be something crazy, right? Okay, boom, boom, 75, 80% is good. I missed a step. I'm like, damn, like, how could I like, and it's just like, and that self-talk goes back to you're not sharp enough. You know what I'm saying? Like what you doing? And like relationally, like you said, when we get input from others on like, whether it's things you're doing, processes, attitude, all that stuff, it's like sometimes I can be good about, hearing it and accepting it. But like sometimes all I hear is you ain't you ain't good enough. You didn't hit the mark. You ain't you know what I'm saying? So then I go into myself and I'm like, what's the point, right? I'm putting in all this effort, I'm doing all of this, and yet again, I missed the mark. So and it's I think the way it messes with our minds is like now the next time we go out to do something, it's like, well, you're probably gonna get close, but you might not hit the mark, or you know what I'm saying. And even you brought up points about just like it changing like the level of effort or attention or like focus, and it's like I'll be focused on something, boom, 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 locked in, and then at some point I'm like, what's this? What's this for? What's the end goal, right? Especially if it's something where the end goal is not really like easy to see, or it's kind of like we don't know how much of a difference that execution is going to make or break whatever. It's like, all right, well, I'll throw myself at this 75, 80% and just wish for the best. Like that's how it shows up for me. I think at times where it's like times where I go for things and fall short. Now the next time I'm only going 75, 80%. I'm not diving in 100%. I'm not 1,000% focused. It's just kind of like I've been used to being in the cycle of, okay, she's get degrees. Like, so
mm.
we'll throw out this effort. We see what we get back and then take it from there. You know what I mean?
Man, that's crazy, yo. We relate on that level so much, especially from the start of it. Of like, for me, it's so much worse if I disappoint somebody else than
Right,
myself.
right. Yeah,
Like, if I do
yeah.
something where like I suffer the consequences, it's like
Mhm.
okay, I can deal with that. I've been dealing with that my whole life. But when it's someone else, it's like especially someone you care about,
Oof.
it's like
Yeah.
that much more devastating.
Mhm.
And bro, talk about and it's almost like with some things, I go into it already being like, bro, something's gonna fuck up in some way. Like some you gonna
Mhm.
make some mistake and it's not gonna this is not
Yeah.
gonna go right. So you already have this like based off prior like
Mhm.
not being 100% solid. You have
Yeah.
it like in there, and so you're almost manifesting it. Really, you are.
Yeah. Real talk. That's
And
real
when you
talk.
talked about the C's get degrees, like I feel like throughout my past is as far as life, like I've been a C plus student, bro. Like in school and in life.
Yeah.
I cut out at this part of the video because I live off grid in a third world country. But essentially, what I was saying was that I don't feel as if I've ever really 100% dedicated myself with intense focus in any aspect of my life. I've always pretty much done just enough to get by, and based off my social skills, I've been able to maneuver through the world. So, bang. Life opportunities have come because of my social skills,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Where it's like I've always been good, half black, half white. Learn how to
Mm.
operate with white people, with black people, with all people, and
Mm.
so I could create genuine relationships with people. And then I'll meet the right person. Like even like I moved to Thailand because my homie moved
Yeah.
to Thailand, and then he got me a job out there. But it's not like I was like grinding and whatever. Or like
Mhm.
pretty much almost every job I've ever had was because I met someone, we had a connection, and then they hooked
Yeah.
me up. It's not. I've never been like, yo, like I want to do this, and I'm gonna do
Mm.
it every day, 2 hours a day, fully focused, and I'm gonna go get it. Like I
Yeah.
have had things like I've
Yeah.
wanted to like the life that I'm living. I have had wanted it, but even that is like a lot of it is like C plus student, and
Mhm.
I think a lot of it is based off of what I said, like these traumas and not being able to feel my emotions. I've been told that emotions are superpowers, and I've
Mhm.
seen it in action of
Yeah.
like people being able to like experience some shit, feel it, be sad, be angry, process it, use that energy to then fuel themselves to do some incredible shit.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I'm still like balled up, like, no, it's cool. I'm
Mm.
cool. We cool. Like, even if that's an internal, like, really, I'm just
Yeah.
like, ah, ah.
Yeah.
But but yeah, man, it's real out here, and let's. I think we're gonna have to continue to work on ourselves. So, I wanted to
Yeah.
bring some of so like this conversation was first had in the group,
Mhm.
and I think some of our group members had some like really interesting insights.
Right.
Where I'll start with, and I want to see what you had to say about this. What the
Mhm.
homie Catherine brought to the table is like for her, it's like really hard to figure out where to start because there's a lot of issues that one must fix about themselves. And for me, one of my biggest issues is I can't really feel my emotions. And I developed this coping mechanism at a very young age that was given to me by my parents and my circumstances. So it's just a trauma response. So now you got to tap into that and heal that. But it's like, how do I do that? Okay, let me try to find a therapist, someone can I talk to. But
Mhm.
therapists are expensive. I can't really afford a therapist right now. I'm on
Yeah.
survival income,
Yeah.
just getting it. So it's like, okay, like I gotta get this bread now. But for me to get this bread, how the fuck I do that? Like,
Mhm.
cause I don't really want to get a normal job and work my ass off for someone who doesn't give a fuck about me. I'd rather not.
Yeah.
That's hurting me in its own right, right? So it's like, oh, okay, get this bread. How the fuck I do that? That's a whole fucking process. Now to get bread, there's a million ways to make money in the world, but the shit's
Yeah.
not easy. Shit takes a lot of time. So it's now I gotta be focused and like I gotta figure out how to get bread so I can have more resources to help myself. but I also work 2 jobs and I got 8 million other things going on. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, where the fuck do I start?
Yeah.
And I think I've gotten better at it, but like that shit has been, and that's why I feel and to bring it all back is I feel like the self-hate was like I've had all these issues and I've chipping away at this one, chipping away at this one, chipping away at this one, but it's like I haven't been able to like punch any of them Jones
Mm.
because I
Yeah.
felt like frozen by all
Right.
this weight.
Yeah.
And it's like, yo, like where do you start or what does that
Yeah.
bring up? Like what the fuck?
Yeah. That's it. That you bringing up the point about being frozen by it. That's something that like I deal with like you said, same thing, right? It's a lot going on. Okay, I need to figure out home, job, myself, family, blah, blah, blah. Where do I start? And there's times where it's just, it all bubbles up and right in a lot of different areas in our lives or asking for a lot, from us energetically, like focus wise. And sometimes I just be like, I get like frozen into inaction because I don't know where to start, right? I might feel like, the job piece, like that's a big priority. Financials is going to help me, you know, well, the personal piece, I need that. So I'm good for the job piece. And then it's like, well, I want to pour into my relationship and my community because that'll lift me. And sometimes it's like so much where we just like, okay, where do I start? And it's like, now you look up and you ain't really do nothing. You, like you said, you might have put your toe in the bucket here to start making some progress and then redirected and was like, well, okay, I got this ball rolling. Let me go check on this. But it's like not that consistent, boom, one thing at a time, or this is how, you know what I mean? So frozen into inaction is something that like I can feel and that I've been trying to push through where it's just like, look, do something. You know what I'm saying? If you can just whatever it is, just do something, knock it out the way. Whatever's next is next. But
Yo, I had an insight right now. There's
mm-hmm.
not nothing major, but I think this is a pretty good start right
Yeah.
here. You know what I mean? Not and obviously
Yeah.
this isn't our start,
Mm-hmm.
but what really came up is that, me dealing with my issues, like I had really one person that I have these conversations with, my
Mm-hmm.
girlfriend. And
Yeah.
even in the past, when I was like way worse off, like
Yeah.
deep in depression, she'll be like, I cannot be the only one you talk about this with.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
partially like why this thing started. You know what I mean? And it took me
Mm-hmm.
way longer than it should have to like heed her warning and like start stepping towards that. And now we have
Yeah.
our mastermind group where we have these discussions. But I think if it's anybody listening right now, it's like, especially men,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, finding other men that you feel comfortable like having these difficult conversations to just be able to
Yeah.
say like there's a lot of aspects of myself that I don't like about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard. That's scary to say. And it's even a little bit more scary to say that like luckily thank God I got you and that we can
Right.
like try
Right. Real
to
talk.
model this to our little ass community in any type of way, because I
Mm-hmm.
think this is a good start, because just with the group talking when we talked on Thursday
Yeah.
afterwards, I felt so much better just being like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, other people relate. Like I got
Mm-hmm.
it out. It's not just me. I'm not just going through this by myself, me and my partner, and then she's having to deal with all of this. It's like I got my homie Joe. I got my
Mm-hmm.
homie Gabe. It's like
Yeah.
we can like be like say real deep, scary things about ourselves that
Mm-hmm.
we don't want. And we're doing online like
Yeah.
fuck, this shit even crazier. But like you don't gotta
Right.
do that.
Right.
You just like talk
Yeah.
to your homies, like, when I went back to Philly 6 months ago or whatever, 4 months ago, I noticed a lot of our conversation. The thing I told you was
Mm-hmm.
like, yo, this rapper said this or this did this. It's like,
Yeah.
it's none of this. It's none of this. And this shit is hard.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody watching this joint, like, find a homie you can really express your deeper shit with because it feels fucking great.
Yeah.
Um,
It does.
yeah, if it's anything you want to speak on that, I can go to the next
It
little.
does. No, I just agree. Like you said, just to get it out and not feel so alone, not feel like okay, like You know what I mean? Like exactly, exactly. Because
Dog.
we talk about storing it in our bodies, but like literally, like to go through our day to day, right, saddled with what we're saddled with, and not have an outlet for it, not have just like somebody to help carry a cross for 50 feet. Oh man, I don't need you to carry the
Mm,
whole thing, bro. Help me get up this hill. Once I get up this hill,
right.
a little traction, get my wind back. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's the importance of community, just in terms of like just helping like sustain each other, right? So, tough times, good times, like get some direction, maybe just pat on the back and somebody to walk with, somebody to walk next to you while you, going through what you're going through.
Right, right, right. And then so another bullet point is what
Hmm.
Joe James said. The other Joe
Yeah.
was that
Right.
like he just feels like this is a video game that
Hmm.
isn't really valid. It's like an invalid video game where we're forced to do these things, pay taxes, work this many
Hmm.
hours to survive, and for like a system that obviously doesn't give a fuck about
Yeah.
us. And it's like, why am I even like, why do I have to do this? Like,
Yeah.
just that feeling of like, this is such a heavy weight. Sometimes it feels so difficult to like go through day to day. And, with him is like, he works a 9 to 5. He doesn't love. He wants to
Hmm.
transfer and to do something that he loves, but it's just so hard because it's so much time, it's so much energy, it's family shit. And then it's just like, dog, this shit don't make no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like this shit is
Yeah.
disgusting what we've created, that like how human beings have to deal with so much struggle when it seems
Hmm.
like if there were people making decisions that truly had the good of humanity in their hearts, it could be so different, but it's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And that also kept me like stuck for a while of like, fuck the world, it's unfair, it don't matter anyway. And, I think I got out of that a little bit, but it's like how much of that is in you where do you feel like, why the
Hmm.
fuck I even gotta do this, man? Fuck this
Oh,
shit.
yeah. No, for sure. For sure. Because I'm like, same thing, right? 9 to 5. And we referenced this in some of our previous episodes, but just like the dream we've been sold, right? If you do this, X, Y, Z, education, job, work hard, you're going to be all right. White picket fence, 2.5 kids, whatever that means, a dog, you and Scruffy, the family going to be good. But we watch, I think, at least for not just our generation, but as a whole, right? We watched them flip the script multiple times, move the goalposts. Okay, y'all cool. All y'all pension money, yeah, our bad on that one. Um, Better luck. UPS is hiring, right? Because I'm looking at not just us, but I'm looking at like our parents and grandparents who have toiled and like done so much for us, still having to work after a certain age because
Yeah.
everything they did before it seems like it was in vain, right? It seems like that goalpost got moved. So I think a mixture of us intrinsically feeling like, hey, I'm not getting anything out of this. This is not nurturing my spirit. It might put money in my pocket. I'm stimulating the economy, whatever. But like as a human, I'm not really feeling this. Is that coupled with we seeing like at any moment if they want to flip the script, boom, now we all got to play the game differently. So I think part of that leads into the why am I trying so hard, right? Why am
Mm,
I'm going out my way to prove myself, and that's part of it because I think outside of just the fact that we work to provide, right? We work to for sense of purpose. It's like you ever when was the last time you looked for a job? You ever looked for a job and just been on the job for all day, applying. You put in 30 job apps, you don't hear a damn thing, right? You got a degree, you got experience, you got like how that feels. It's like for real. Like I remember it was a point when I was living in Houston, college degree, right? At this point, like 3 years for airline customer service, some other background, and I'm just looking for like part-time gig, right? got my. I'm just looking for. I'm like, I can't get a call back from Foot Locker. Like all I've been through, like all
Right.
I put into, like, you know what I'm saying. I can't get a. Well, I can't, like, boss calls. Y'all can't hit me back to put clothes on y'all rack. It's stuff like that where it just like turns you off to, like, I already know y'all on some bullshit anyway. I'm gonna have to come in there and play by your rules. And then on top of that, I'm not even hitting it back. So why am I pouring so much into this? Why am I like, why have we built our identities around this infrastructure and this system, and it's just consistently just showed us like, whatever. Eh,
Dog, yo, that's so fucking real. And I was talking to Mount, and it's like, you wonder why it's people on Kensington Ave hooked on heroin, or you wonder
yeah,
why it's people who are like, fuck this, I'm
yeah,
about to just do whatever.
whatever,
It's like you
whatever.
like of course it's like this. Of course that's what I say.
Mm-hmm.
You wonder why it's people fucking trapping or running up in
Excuse me.
Wawa's 40 deep stealing everything.
Right,
It's
right.
like, because what's the alternative? And
Yeah,
then you look on the TV and it's like, you can be the one. It's like, look at whoever the case may be. Look, Kanye did it. You just believe in yourself, and like every time you look, you see that like 0.0% of like you can be
yeah,
that guy. Just keep on
yeah.
going, and it's like, yeah, nigga, that shit's hard as fuck though.
Facts,
And
facts.
yeah, but man, we gotta keep going. Like, yo, this is
Have
crazy.
to.
Like, we gotta keep going together, cause
Yeah,
like we got this shit. Even talking
yeah,
about it, like I know it's something you going through. Like I really felt with the job shit,
yeah.
but
Real
man,
talk.
like I don't have the answers. You don't got the answers for it, but but I do I do know that like
uh,
keep that foundation strong, keep working,
yeah,
keep pushing when it
yeah.
feels like that. Like express it, let it out, feel it,
Mhm.
and to bring it all back is my partner said that I was talking about all these issues, and I got a little deeper into it,
Yeah.
like my family shit, which I think I
Right,
should
right.
mention, where not even my trauma. Let's talk about my trauma real
Indeed,
quick, where
indeed.
it's like, okay, I got beat up by the police. I was on a good trajectory, and all of a sudden I'm charged with a felony, 15 years in
Mhm.
jail for aggravated assault. That led me to the
Yeah,
deep depression. That was like the hardest thing to just crawl out of. And then
yeah,
boom, let's talk about my family history, where we come from slavery, where a great Grammy was raped,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that rape led to my father's grandmother, who raised him, and his
yeah,
parents weren't there. They were alcoholics and drug addicts. So he was raised by his grandma, who was product of rape by a slave
yeah.
master. And it's like
Mhm.
all that pain. And then my dad was a wild motherfucker doing the wildest shit out in the streets, like, and he
That,
wasn't there for me at all. So I'm
yeah.
dealing with all this, and then boom,
That's
and
a
then
lot.
I try to go to college and get a good job, and then police beat me up for no reason because they had a bad day and fucked my whole life up. And I'm like, no,
Mm.
like I'm like sometimes, like, especially back then, I'm like, no, like fuck it, that's why I'm going left. Like
Yeah,
whatever case may be,
yeah.
I'm going left. I don't care if I end up
Mhm.
homeless on Kensington Ave. Like I'm going left, and if I end up falling, I fall. Fuck it. And so
Yeah.
I outlined all of that, and I was getting like really emotional or whatever, and my
Mhm.
partner was just like, hey, like, but you've also come a long way. Like that's kind of
Mm.
like a old narrative,
Mm.
because like I've seen so much growth, and I've seen like so many changes. Was like, she's like, you do feel your emotions now. Like I've seen you cry,
Mm.
I've seen you express yourself.
Yeah.
Like you are getting better. And for me, that's something that's hard for me to see a lot of times. Like, I'm someone who, I kind of have focused on what I need to work on. I'm not as good as this, or
Mm.
look at them doing that, or you're just doing
Yeah.
that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Mhm.
to have that, and another part of that is being just like the overwhelm. I feel
Yeah.
like I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I do this, and it's like I don't got no time to like see how far I've come. Like, motherfucker, what? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm in a new environment. I live on a
Yeah.
farm. Like, I gotta go weed. It's about to be rainy season.
Mhm.
I got a million things I gotta do. I can't reflect on how far I've come. But
Yeah.
when she kind
Yeah.
of calmed me down and was like, yo, like you are getting better. You are doing the work. I
Mm-hmm.
see it better than you see it.
Mm.
And like I'm sure that's the case with you too. Just from,
Mm.
the maybe the 5 or 6 months that we've been rapping like
I do.
consistently.
I got an anecdote for you in that same vein. Um, at this. This goes back to my days in Houston, right? And in real time, in this moment back then, I'm going through it, bro. I'm in a city. I'm in a new city, right, by myself with a part-time job at the airline, and I'm driving Uber part-time. I got one homie in the city I know, maybe two. I got another homie that I kind of like went to high school with, but you know what I'm saying? Like she around, but she doing her own thing. We're not locked in like that. I'm going through it, right? I'm talking about like this, and this is my first apartment, so I'm every every other month, electric might be off, cable might go down, whatever. I'm just like out there thugging it, and it was, and like I spoke to earlier in this episode, feeling that like, okay, you might be making progress, boom, hit a plateau. For me, it manifested as car problems, right? I'm not good with cars. Like, I didn't have a pop that was like, get under here, I'm gonna show you with a carburetor. So I don't, right? So frustration building and building, and I had a breakdown, and I'm like, fuck, what is going on? Like, I can't get, I get, I get 80%, and then I drop back down to, why can't I push through? And I broke down, and like, not as much, like, my breakdown turned into a breakthrough where I had a moment where I was like, bro, like, look at where you came from. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at, fast forward 6 years, just out of high school, not even like knowing yourself fully, not even like and control your emotions, aware of them, feeling them, all of that stuff. And it's like you went from there to be able to build yourself up, right? Improve your interpersonal relationships, improve your immediate position to go ahead and make some moves. And so it was one of those moments where it's like, shit, right now I'm feeling like I'm at rock bottom, but the rock bottom I'm feeling is like this was the previous rock bottom, right? And now this is, I'm not get up, and but it's a new rock bottom. So it's like, in a sense, I had to take a step back, and it was the same thing. Like, no, oh shit, like no, you actually did something, right? At the time, I had books I was writing down goals and stuff to do. You know, flip through like, no, you checked, right? You check these off, right? It might not feel good, right? It might not feel how we thought it was going to look. It might have taken longer. He might have checked off 7 out of 10, but you checking shit off, right? And like even that to get to that point and just whew, take a deep breath, like, okay, I can see some progress, right? It's tough now. I see some progress. I see the distance between where I was to where I am now. All right, cool. All right, settle back up. You know what I'm saying? Settle back up and let's press forward and get the next little bit of, uh, bro, I know that feeling. I know it.
And I think for me, just I can end with a quote of this. I
Mm,
remember is that, let me try to get this right. For those who've had the pleasure to hit rock bottom, also know the experience of climbing up out of the hole and feeling the warmth of the sun again.
mm,
Something in that line.
mm,
And
mm.
I can leave it at that. If you have anything else you want to add, I think
We ain't touching that. You can leave that right there. That warmth for the sun.
and I think this conversation it warmed my soul if
Mm.
nobody else's, and just wanted to
Oh, before
give me
we do
what you
go,
got. Let's go.
before we do go, um, I think a good way to put a bow on it is if I'll give you a couple things that I think that we can do collectively to kind of, you know, take out some of that trauma noise and get ourselves on the right path or at least locked in. Um, I know for me, something I think will help me, right? Cutting out distractions, right? Cutting out outside noise. We already dealing with like a lot of noise inside of ourselves and whatnot. So I think kind of cutting out some outside noise and being able to, okay, lock in on what's real, right? Lock in on something that actions that have like a tangible effect, right? Start there, start taking some actions. And then I think that is finding somebody else to be like, yo, I'm going on this walk. And I think that's how me and you kind of ended up linking up. It's like, yo, I'm going on this journey. I see you walking in this direction too. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
You know what I
But
mean? So from your perspective, what's something that you think that helped you? Maybe if it's something that helped you in the past, where it's like, I got to make sense of this chaos. What's one thing I can do to kind of
mm,
propel me a little bit?
and I feel like this could be a whole episode. It really could. But like I think one thing is it kind of goes back to the first episode is I made a list of what things are important to me.
Mm,
And like I really like mapped it all out. And then that helped me see like the distractions a lot
mm-hmm,
clearer of like,
mm,
oh, like that's a distraction, that's a distraction. And slowly but surely, the distractions, which a lot of them are just coping mechanisms,
mm-hmm,
I've just been getting them out of my life. It's been difficult. It can start with my relationship with alcohol, where
mm-hmm,
I used to drink my pain away and party, and it's like, oh, like that was a distraction. Like I can have fun without that. Or
yeah,
it's like, and it doesn't mean you have to stop. Like with weed, it's another thing. I
mm,
realized like, oh, it's like I'm just smoking weed to numb myself, and
mm-hmm,
I can still smoke once every now and again, and celebration, good vibes,
yeah,
but it's not like fuck the world, I'm rolling up and I'm facing a blunt. And
yeah,
then it just go
yeah,
each, and
but
then the next step was pornography. It's like, oh, that's a distraction.
mm,
Then Instagram, and just trying to create a better
yeah,
relationship with all these distractions, with in the back of my mind being like, but what do you actually want? And I still struggle with goals. Like I'm not the best at
mm,
making goal. That could be a thing. Like I gotta like, so it's hard for me like to make goals, but just
yeah,
to figure out what do I care about in my life that I want to put my energy. And every day I can look at it and be like, oh, I put energy into 4 of the 7 things I care about, and
yeah,
I didn't use a distraction.
yeah,
That's a win for me.
yeah, for sure,
And
for
like I
sure.
said, that could be a whole thing.
Yeah, we might have to double back on that one.
Yeah, 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 for sure. But again, my guy Joe Jeff,
Always a pleasure, bro.
my soul brother. This is Soul
Yes, sir.
Bridge. We're doing a
Yeah,
YouTube thing. I'm trying to be more YouTuber. So like, comment, subscribe. Come
yeah.
help us out. Any
Drop something in the
topics?
comments. If you
That's
relate to something, let us know. Let us know in
that's what
the
I'm saying.
comments. Brother.
And next episode we got our homie Jamel on this. So we want more homies. If you got something to get off your chest, it's a
Holla at us.
platform, and it's not a big platform, but we work it.
Holla at us.
Holla, peace and love, y'all.